guys, I hope you're doing well. I am obviously here today. I am without a mic. I went and got a mic, and but it takes an adapter to hook to my phone, and now somehow I cannot find the adapter any which where. So then I tried to use a headphone set that had a mic in it and had this constant click 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 sound in it that would just drive you mad. Thankfully I did a test, and so we're gonna go micless, and hopefully the sun and the sound will all cooperate. The sun's moving really fast and may start glaring. We'll see. Hopefully it'll be okay. So, as many of you know, I've been gone for a little while, and then working through a lot of health issues as well, and so I haven't been posting as many videos lately, and I haven't also been able to answer as many questions on YouTube as I usually do. And so, and I still haven't had time to go back and just answer a lot of the questions that have come up. And so today I thought, you know what, maybe I'll just do a quick video because it's a lot faster for me to talk than to type out answers, and go through some of the questions that have been posted recently on YouTube and just answer them. So if you posted a question, I might get to it today. If not, I might get to it in the next video, and if not, just repost your question. It probably got buried. Sometimes questions come up and I see them, and when I go back to answer them, I cannot find them anywhere. So no offense if yours got skipped over or missed. Yeah, and we'll just try out kind of a little bit of a new format, and if everyone likes it, I might start answering more questions like this, because especially in the summer when I'm more busy with other things other than succulents, it gets kind of overwhelming, and I really can't get to all of the questions that I get. But I do enjoy answering them, and a video like this can help me go a lot faster than answering each one individually on YouTube. All right, first question, and pardon me if I mispronounce anyone's name. I will do the best that I can. Yao Terrence says, I grow all of my Simper Vive and sedum in pots on my balcony as I live in an apartment. Can they survive in minus 20 Celsius in the winter? So for everyone that's not where they use Celsius, that's about -4 Fahrenheit. And the short answer is yes, and the long answer is maybe. It really depends on the variety. Some of the newer hybrids and things aren't as hardy as the really old, true, like a Simper Vive Tectorum, for example, and others. Those really old hardy varieties are really, really hardy. I grow a lot of mine in pots and the ground as well. Like I have these above ground beds that you've probably seen in some of the videos if you've watched very many of my videos, and so they freeze really, really hard here. And here in Idaho, we get down, usually not below -10 or 15, and usually only once or twice. But we definitely do get down to, -4, which is what that would be for us, Fahrenheit. And so, and they do really, really well, the older varieties. But like I said, some of the newer, kind of more pretty colored varieties can be a bit more finicky on cold. So you really just have to experiment, I would say you have a way better chance of them surviving outside than you do if you bring them indoors. So if your option is leave them out on a porch in a pot, then I would do that. If your option is leave them out on a porch in the pot or bring them in the house, I would definitely leave them outside on your porch in a pot. If you have the option of like burying your pot in the ground, of course that would be great to overwinter them. But most Simper Vive, some sedum does quite well under a grow light and doesn't need the cold temperatures, but I haven't had very many Simper Vive at all that have liked being in the house. They just really need the cold. You could also leave them out, part of the time and bring them in under a grow light part of the time, if you wanted to kind of experiment and leave a few out, all winter long, and then bring a few in. But be sure and let them have at least a good little period of cold before you bring them in, and wake them up if possible, even if you bring them in before your deepest, cold period. All right, I hope that helps. Okay, next one. Oh, I didn't get the name on this one, so I'm sorry. This was on the video I just posted, and it was, what was the name of the cactus with the pretty pink flower? And the name, it was a little bitty purple moon cactus, and oops, sorry, bee. And they bloom these beautiful, big in comparison to the size of the little cactus flowers, and so that's what was blooming in that picture. All right, which one do you prefer? This is from Connie Beal. Which one do you prefer, gritty mix or pumice for lithops? I definitely prefer pumice for lithops. I actually prefer pumice if I had to choose, one or the other, to have pumice or gritty mix. For messemes in general, I would definitely choose pumice. Some of that is because it's just what I'm more comfortable with, and it's what I've gotten used to, and I've used it for a lot longer than I've tried gritty mix. I just tried gritty mix, I want to say like a year ago. I think I posted a video whenever I got my first batch, but I don't think it was more than a year ago, so I'm not nearly as familiar with it. And it seems to dry out a bit faster for me here, and which can be good, but the way I water, it's better to hold it a little bit longer. So yeah, I definitely prefer the pumice for lithops, especially over the gritty mix. Some varieties of lithops particularly dislike the gritty mix because of the bark. It's just too much kind of acidity. Not really. They tend to do well in acid or alkaline soils, really, but they just don't seem to like the bark. And so some varieties don't really care though. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's my preference. So, and that's what you asked. All right. Janet Ursel says, really enjoy your videos, but can I make a polite request that you refer to plants by name instead of, quote, this guy? I can identify a good number by sight, but not all in this particular video. Yes, I do apologize for the last video I made in particular. There were so many wasps that I thought about it in my head and said, nope, for this video I am not saying the names. I am just gonna go, oh, here's you, and here's you, and here's you, and get done as fast as I can. I had like 5, 6, and 7 wasps swarming right around my ankles multiple times, and they love me or hate me, whichever. I get stung a lot, and I'm now allergic, and so I try to avoid the porch in daylight hours because they're just so awful. So I was really rushing through that video. Although I do have several other porch tour videos where I don't mention all of their names, but I do mention a lot of their names. So you might go back and look through some of my videos if you're looking in particular for names of the plants that were just on this last video. I do have several other videos where I specify all their names. So usually if I don't specify a name, it's because I just don't have time to go through all of the names. It would make the videos so long, and my videos tend to be kind of long anyways. But I do try to do that, and I will definitely try and do it as much as is possible and mention names, because I love people mentioning names as well. So I'm totally with you. I get annoyed when it's like, isn't this beautiful? It's like, yes, what is it? So okay. All right, this comment was on the sponge video. Sorry, I'm gonna have a little drink here. This is from Gary Pinnell. I have not seen this till now. What kind of sponge? It was a vegetable cellulose sponge. I've never seen anyone else do it either, so it was just a total experiment on my part, propagating succulent leaves on vegetable cellulose sponges, which gives a little bit of moisture but not enough to cause rot, unless you're somewhere really humid and you close them or you close them into a container. But if you leave them out and exposed to air, the video was me experimenting with that, and it actually worked really well for me here in this environment. But yeah, they're vegetable cellulose sponges. They're compostable and they break down quite easy, and they're not full of chemicals. A lot of the store-bought, just traditional sponges, are plastics and are pretty awful for the world, but other than that, they have some chemicals that can inhibit root growth, and so we don't want that because we're trying to root, right? So vegetable cellulose sponges, you can find them at like natural grocer type stores. I think you might even be able to order them on Amazon. I'm thinking that's where I got mine. I might have got it somewhere like Trader Joe's also though, or our local food co-op. I believe they have them as well. So yeah, places like that. All right, Tiffany Ching says, would you say the best way is to weigh before watering and then wait until the pot reaches the same weight before watering again? Okay, so this one is on a video where I'm talking about potting soils and how much water they absorb, and that you can take a dry potting medium and weigh it in your pot and then water it and then weigh it again, and that will let you know about how much the soil is holding and thus how much will be available to the roots of your plants, which can be important if you're especially for things like messemes and stuff, if you're concerned about overwatering. So let me read the question again now that I'm reminding myself of what the video is. Okay, would you say the best way is to weigh before watering and wait till the pot reaches the same weight before watering again? You know, you totally could do that. I don't know if I would go so far as to say it was the best way, but if you were learning and trying to get an idea of how long your pot takes to dry out, it would be an excellent idea to do that. So if you have a new plant and you're concerned, especially with the fact that it is able to dry all the way out, you can totally weigh it before you water it, and then just weigh it, and when it's reaches the same weight that it was before you watered, then you know that it has dried completely out. And then you can even make a note of that and just kind of go based on averages. You wouldn't have to weigh it every single time, but you totally could, you know, if it made you more comfortable. For me, I mean, I literally have over 1,000 pots at this point, so I'm not going to weigh every one, but I've had most of them for long enough that I know what they feel like when they're when they need water and when they don't, and what they look like and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't go on any kind of a schedule for watering, which is why I was just gone on vacation, and it was really hard to make a watering schedule. And then because I don't ever do one, so I just had to imagine, you know, and try and predict what the weather would be like, and then the weather was way hotter than I predicted. And so yeah, anyways, you definitely could do that. I can totally see it working. All right, I think the sun is kind of, let's see, I don't know if that's better or worse. Okay, maybe that's all right. All right, what kind of wire did you use? Elaine Dooms asks. Okay, this is on the video of me pinning down the string of pearls or string of tears. I had a pot and was showing how if you have a really long strand, you can kind of fold it over and take a wire loop and just make a little U-shaped and use that to pin the branch to the ground or just slightly underneath the ground, and then that will root and make your root mat a lot denser and help keep your plant from getting too leggy. And then after it's rooted, you can cut and have two shorter strands if you want to, or you can leave them tied together as well. So what kind of wire did I use on that? I used jewelry wire on that because that's what I had. I had a store for quite a few years here that had all manner of all kinds of stuff, but one of them was craft supplies, and I made jewelry for the store, and so I have lots of wire left still, and so that's what I have, so that's what I use. I use different gauges, I use different types. It just totally depends on what I have, what I'm trying to use up, and I've used wire in gardening for over 20 years, and so whenever I buy jewelry wire, I don't stress a whole lot about whether it's exactly what I want. It's like, well, if it's not exactly what I want, I will totally use it. So it's all good. But you can use any kind of wire you have laying around, really. I mean, a paper clip unfolded would totally work, you know, in a pinch. So yeah, whatever type of wire works, but I use jewelry wire. All right, yours is a square pot, which you can use a rubber band to secure your lithops, but what if the pot is round? How do I do it? Alex Chan asked that. Okay, this is on a video where I'm potting lithops and showing using rubber bands across the top in a grid to hold your lithops in place while you pour your potting medium in, which works really well. It's exactly the same with a round pot. I know that seems kind of crazy. I think in another video I show it with a round pot, so you might look at, or it might be just later on in this video that I show that. But you just kind of angle your rubber bands. At the bottom, they're just closer together, and at the top, you just pull them farther apart. And if it's terracotta, it grips onto the rubber bands enough that you can totally do it. I've done it many times. In plastic, you need a fairly sturdy plastic, and you can totally get them. You just need to wrap them tight enough. So you might have to loop your rubber band around twice so that it's tight enough that it will stay in place when it's kind of angled up like this, if that makes sense. But I'm about 99% sure one of the videos on the channel shows me with doing the rubber band technique with a round pot. So check that out if you have more questions about that. All right. Sarahi Maldonado says, I just received one of these. This is on a granola video, and it doesn't have any roots. How should I plant and water? All right. Granola are a lot like Ionians. Well, they are an Ionium. They're in the Ionium family. And as far as rooting them, I don't have a lot of experience rooting unrooted Ioniums. I don't have a lot of experience rooting granovias that don't have any roots on them. All of mine came with at least, a couple roots. But I do have a fair amount of experience rooting other types of Ionium, and I root them very similar to Echeveria. Just wherever they're cut off, just put them in fairly dry dirt, let it callus off first, and then put it in fairly dry dirt, and then every week, or depends on if it's winter or summer and how much humidity you have, etc. If you have a lot of humidity, I wouldn't water it super often, but I give mine a little bit of a spritz at the top of the soil, let it soak down a little bit, but I don't soak the whole tray. I like to root things in quite shallow trays so that even if it does get soaked all the way down, it dries out quickly because it's shallow. So I just moisten the top of the soil and let it soak down just a bit. Every so often. I really don't follow a schedule. It really depends on how the plant's looking. As long as the plant, the leaves are fairly plump and they're not wilting really fast, etc., then let it do its thing, and it will send out roots. And so yeah, that's my advice for that. I hope that helps. All right, Sarah Will asks, do you have an email address that I can send some questions and photos to, please? My aloe isn't doing great. Yes, and in the description box below, so when you, wasps, when you, up above where there's the title of the video, if you click by that, this description box will come down and you'll see my address and a link to Instagram, I think, and I forget what else is there, but I know there's several links to things. Maybe the Facebook group, I think there's a link to that, and my email address is also there. You can totally email me. With that being said, I get a lot of questions and I am not able to answer them all, so it really depends on what's happening. If I'm having a slow day and I'm in bed and but I'm I'm able to think and answer questions, then I will often just take some time and answer as many questions as I can. But if I'm feeling fairly well and really busy, I get really behind on questions, and sometimes they get lost and I never actually get to them. So you can totally email me, but you know, I make no promises about whether or not I can specifically help with every request. All right. Lin Peng says, wait, I live in a tropical climate. Does that mean my Haworthia will stay the same for always? Okay, this is on a video talking about Haworthia dormancy, and that they're dormant in the warmer, hotter summer months, and they are most actively growing in the cooler winter months. But okay, so wait, I live in a tropical climate. Does that mean my Haworthia will stay the same for always? Stay the same for always. I don't know if you're meaning that will it not go dormant. If that's what you're asking, then yes, likely in a tropical environment, your Haworthia will kind of have a fairly steady, even growth pattern that won't drastically grow suddenly, and won't, you know, go dormant and kind of not grow for a while. It'll appear to just kind of slowly grow all the time, a lot of times. So sometimes, you know, even in a tropical environment, you have rewind, I was mixing two sentences there. Even in a tropical environment, you have, you know, seasons, and so if they're distinct enough, they, you know, warmer and cooler, your Haworthia will adapt to that, whatever those cycles are and whenever they occur. The cooler months will tend to be when it grows more, and the warmer months will tend to be when it grows less. But if your temperatures stay quite even all year round, it'll likely just kind of meander along all year. But they're not opposed to that, you know, it's not hard on their health. All right, I think I will end there for today because we're already at 21 minutes, and so that gets long. Let me know in the comments about the sound. Hopefully it was okay, and also let me know about this format and if this works, you know, for answering questions, if it's interesting enough, even if it wasn't your question that was asked, you know, to make it worthwhile, or if really, you know, oh, it's only interesting if I asked a question and then I have to watch the whole video just to hear, you know, the answer to my question. But if people like this and like hearing other people's questions and the answers to them, then I might just do it. So kind of as a regular thing. So let's see. I've been in such a hurry lately with all the bees, but I'm out in the lawn, and then we had so much going on for the last month. It was just insane. It really wasn't that much going on, but considering my health, it was a ton going on. And so I have just been in a hurry. So I will say this time finally. If you would like to join the Facebook group, there will be a link to that in the description box, like I said. Feel free to ask. A few people have commented, your questions are exactly the same, and they're like, yeah, you just asked the exact same thing twice. Why? And you would be surprised how many people answer yes to no and one to the other. Yes to one and no to the other. Wow, my words just totally whoop, swapped places there. All right, and when that happens, I know it's either you know, bot, or, you know, someone is not paying attention. So that's basically why I asked the same question, just worded slightly different twice. So if you're joining the group, just read the question and answer it. Yes, I know it's a repeat, you know, just go for it. There will also be a link to Instagram there, where I share pictures of various and sundries. Lately it's been more herb related and harvesting and whatnot, because 'tis the season, and so my succulents have all just kind of been chilling, you know, for a while, and nobody's doing anything really exciting, and I'm not having to do pretty much anything with them up until being gone on vacation, and now I've got, you know, got a little bit of work to do. But so I've been doing other things, and so, but I do post succulent stuff when and as I am doing things on Instagram, and I think that is it. Until next time, happy growing!